Nearly.
Because we're spectacular.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon. I don't know how I did it last week, but I don't seem to be able to put my mask on today. It just wouldn't. And I'm in the wrong position. Jim, sorry.
That's all right. It don't matter. Nobody can tell.
No, like there's I've managed to get other people annoyed by it as well as me now.
Okay, fair enough. So we're here this week to talk about Subspace Rhapsody, the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, which was a musical episode.
Well, not just talking.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's it. We should have
content at the beginning if you want to rewind after the show to watch it.
Yeah. There was a bit of bonus content. But we're going to start with more self-indulgent Retrek news, which we did bring you last week. But we are now officially announced. And I said officially 3 times because those watching on the video feed will see that the picture hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, there has been some lag.
No, it's making a big entrance. In the team musical.
It is big. Oh, this is giving Squee time to put the banner on because we always forget.
We do. Give us the banner that says Retrek News.
There you go.
And this is making for really good radio for the podcast listeners.
I will answer this. Facebook user, I sang as bonus content, and Squee sang his catchphrase already.
Yep.
And we only a couple of minutes in.
That's it. You don't know where we're going to go. We should have a song about having technical difficulties.
All I'm saying is
I actually promise we may sing a ditty.
A ditty, yes.
Yeah.
Also, you've got Elliot and our Captain Jimmy. And here I am, I'm Dr. Squee. See, just a bit of a teaser to get
you. That's it.
There you go, Facebook user.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, the picture has arrived.
After our technical difficulties.
Subside. So, for those of you who are listening on the podcast who can't see it, the graphic is up of our official announcement for Destination Trek, which is in just over a week's time now. And we have been announced on their Facebook feed. Retrek Podcast will be appearing and doing Star Trek Top Trumps. We know that anyone who listens or watches regularly knew that, but just because we've got a nice shiny graphic to show you, you know what? We're being a bit indulgent with it.
We are being indulgent, but I think we're allowed to be indulgent because we are really, really buzzing about this.
And there's 3 very big reasons. The first one, of course, is the fact that I get to do Retrek on stage with my 2 buddies here. Like, the thought of getting to do an event like this is great, but to be able to do it with you guys, it really does mean the world to me. But also, just on a very, very geeky level, I like the fact that our logo kind of mirrors the Destination Trek logo on the poster. If you are listening on audio, please look it up. Very nicely done. And at the bottom,
it's almost like they copied us.
Ooh.
Yeah, sure. That's how it worked.
We both copied the Star Trek logo.
That's pretty more. And also, the third thing is, I was just so pleased that our stupid little pun, which pleased me just no end of set phases to fun, the most just corny Star Trek joke you can be, and it made it onto the poster.
Yeah,
that just makes me so happy.
It did. But also, DJ Dan, who is doing the pre-party on Friday night for anybody who wants to turn up for that, he also used set phasers to fun. So a lot of people are setting phasers to fun.
And we clearly came up with that. That's obviously
we clearly did. No one has ever said that before. But
No.
speaking of DJ Dan and Star Trek karaoke in general, we've gone from this time last week, we had Star Trek in by the Firm, and that was it. And now we've got about 10 new songs that Trekkies can... Oh, and we had Faith of the Heart, obviously.
We had... We've had Cisco singing in DS9.
That's true.
As well as the hologram Vic Fontaine.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. But if you went to a karaoke and sang one of Vic Fontaine's songs, you could be accused of just singing a show tune, whereas this is distinctly Star Trek music. So we now
I know, it's very cool.
New Star Trek. You know what? I'm trying to do a segue from our news into the subject of the episode, and you two are just
ruining it.
Well, we just pointed out the Star Trek music that you've missed from the past. Because let's be fair, a lot of people have commented about this episode. This is derided people, hasn't it? And people go, no, there shouldn't be a musical. But the fact that we can go, well, what about Cisco singing? What about this? Who sang quite often in TOS? She did a duet with Spock in TOS.
Well, she had a dance number in the film. Sorry, she didn't sing in the film. Actually, no, there was a little bit.
No, she sang in TOS a few times. She had that song
in the film. In the film,
Charlie boy, oh Charlie boy.
Yeah, and she had that song where she accused Spock of looking like the devil. You know, it was. Yeah. It's no wonder that fella's got issues.
I was trying to remember if she sang in the film, as she did in the fifth film. She did the fan dance, and there was a bit of
do the fan dance. Yeah. Though many of us have tried to forget it, but
I will never forget Nichelle Nichols doing a fan dance. I don't care that she's a little older.
No, fair play. Anyway, let's talk about Subspace.
Facebook user is right. The Doctor sings in Voyager a lot.
Doctor does sing in Voyager,
and we even had the episode where the aliens wanted to take him as an opera singer.
That's true. And the one where he teaches 7 of 9 to sing. That was good.
Yeah. And they've got the emergency command hologram, I believe, when he sings the song about Tuvok in Pomfar.
True. Yeah, you know what? Star Trek's always had loads of tunes. This was just like a normal episode.
It was an excellent segue, mate.
I think it's quite nice to point out all this, though, to the people who are the people who are complaining that Star Trek's done singing as if it's never happened before.
I mean, the only thing
it's been going on since the 60s.
I mean, certainly 60s. What a kind of batshit kind of hippie kind of love.
Oh, the hippie episode. That episode, to be fair, was practically a musical. That hippie episode. It's just that it's so bad.
Well, what I'm saying though, Jim, it's more like the case of, you know, the time that Star Trek was born from was a very musical, very colourful, very ridiculous time. Like episodes like Spock's Brain. I know it's used as an example of like one of the worst episodes, but that's a kind of batshit weirdness you could get in the original series. So this is just not out of keeping at all. But the one thing I will say is I kind of wish that there was a kind of a focal bad guy. You know, they mentioned that their impetus for this was their benchmark for this was the Buffy musical episode. Very understandably, they even make a bunny joke in here, which relates back to that episode.
Yeah.
But with that episode, I think having the inclusion of Sweet, the bad guy, in it really did. Like I would have liked something like that for them to have played against, as opposed to an anomaly.
Fighting an anomaly.
Yeah,
I actually wanted more space magic, Elliot, is what I wanted. I wanted space magic being.
We got space magic.
Yep. I mean, this was I love it. This was certainly a space magic episode. But I almost wanted more space. I wanted a Trelane.
It's okay, Sweet. I have got you one.
Thank you. I know.
I ordered yours as well.
Yeah.
I agree. Particularly watching it the second time through, it did strike me that there's not a lot of peril in this episode. And like you said, the Buffy episode had stakes. That's not a vampire joke.
Well done, mate.
But it did. It had something there, and it had people were blowing up because they were singing too much and things. So there was a bit of danger. Whereas this all just felt like fun.
They put jeopardy in this, but you didn't feel the jeopardy.
No,
because they tried to destroy it, but if they were going to destroy it, it'd wipe out all the Federation and half of the Klingon.
Yeah, but like they're big. Like at one stage, it sounded like the big stakes, where it's like now the whole fleet's singing. It's. I mean,
we should have had a cutaway to the whole fleet singing.
Yeah, yes, thank you. There were so many more things they could have done. Like just push it further, like Buffy did. And I feel like the thing that Buffy did really well was they made it a great standalone episode. I can watch that Buffy episode on its own. Yes, I know the plots which they're bringing up and everything, which do lead to other stuff, but it's got its own encapsulated plot as well. This has only got ongoing plot being explored through music.
This was a fun episode. But
I was definitely fun.
I agree with you. This isn't one of those that's going to go down as sort of a must go back and watch and we've got like we're going to Destination Trek. Oh, we've got Jess Bush appearing. Oh, is she going to sing along to the episode with us all?
Well, she's definitely not this time because she's on strike. But
but you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like that sort of episode. It's like even when we saw Xander and he was rubbish at the Weekender, we wanted him to do the sing-along episode with us.
I don't know. After he went to the loo and just went to powder his nose for a minute, he seemed so much fuller of
energy. He did seem fine. It really, really perked up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Little bit later on in the day.
Perked up, then fucked off.
He had a bit of a sniffle,
within about
but
15 minutes.
Yeah,
he grew a white mustache.
Yeah, it's red.
So I mean, it's going to be hard talking about it without constantly referencing it back to the Buffy one, but
they did it themselves. That the reference that they were trying to.
They did, and I think where this one
they've made a run for the own back.
I thought a little bit that, because they're comparing themselves. Well, not comparing themselves, but they're saying their benchmark was the best musical episode of TV.
Yeah,
I think, certainly on a show which doesn't do music, like Glee was very famous for having huge episodes. It got massive ratings. I can't argue with what it did, even though it wasn't my thing.
I haven't watched it.
No, did I? But like the bits of episodes I saw, it just didn't hook me really. But this, like for a show which doesn't usually do musical episodes, Buffy was the best ever.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty inarguable.
Easily.
So it's like, I maybe wouldn't like. You're already going to get that comparison. I maybe wouldn't have encouraged it.
I've tried watching Rise of the Pink Ladies, which has been cut after one season
and dropped off Paramount now. You can't get it no more.
Well, that's it. So I won't watch the end of it then. But I've watched that because I went to see Grease in the 70s with my mum. And I loved going to see that movie. And I think it's a great movie and a great musical. But every spin-off of it has been a disaster.
That's true.
Grease
2 was really good.
Grease 2, I think 180 people went to see it on its opening weekend. It has the record for how many cinemas it opened in.
Weirdly, Grease 2 has had sort of a critical reappraisal of late. I mean, I have no strong desire to see it, but there is like a growing movement of people who have reappraised.
It became one of those cult classics amongst fans.
I was up to say, Grease 2 is bad enough to reach cult status.
Well, that's obviously it.
But it's like I feel like actually, if anything, it's probably one of the purest of cult followings, because a lot of the ones when they get a cult following, the kind of following grows. So it's like Rocky Horror started as a cult following, but it's just a success. You still call it a cult following, but it isn't really, because it's become mainstream through success. Whereas I think Grease 2, it is pure cult following, because it doesn't seem to have picked up numbers too much. It's just people who liked it, who have kind of found each other thanks to the internet.
Yeah, it's literally those 120 people that went to see it when it got released.
Unfortunately for me, my younger sister was one of those 120 people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so one last thing on the Buffy comparison for now. I think the thing that the Buffy one, apart from having a real sense of danger, I think the emotions were bigger, the story it was telling. And I know Joss Whedon's name doesn't carry quite the cachet it once did, and we won't get into all of that, but he is one of the most talented television writers that has ever worked in the medium, and to even expect an episode of anything else really to reach that height is a very big ask. So I'm not knocking points off this for not being as good as the Buffy one, but we will talk about reasons that it may not have been.
I'm just saying, it's like when you're using that as a template, like it kind of tells you how to tell a really successful musical episode. Like there's some other musical episodes, like Grey's Anatomy did one. They chose to do kind of more jukebox thing. They used pre-existing songs, worked really well, but they kind of like, I feel like they learned some of the lessons Buffy did really well, but did their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it a little bit more successfully, I think, than this is an episode. Again, some of the songs are banging. Like there's some songs I've been humming to myself all day.
Well, that brings me on to our little game that we're going to play throughout the episode. Clanger or banger?
I love it. This is the best thing we've ever done already.
Easily.
And we found another one of the Grease 2 fans who have a Facebook user is Grease 2.
Well, there we go.
Facebook user is.
There we go. So Facebook user, go and find the other 120 people. And
I've told you one of them is my sister.
There you go. We can make that happen.
No, well,
it's like
there are 180 people who like Grease too.
Yeah, I know. I was kidding.
It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We have found 2 of the 180 Grease 2 fans, and we're only a couple of steps away from them. Anyway,
yeah.
So the episode then.
Tell us their name. We could sort of acknowledge them.
We could do.
Oh, JW in a book's tuition, whoever that is.
Okay.
Apparently, that's who made the comment.
There we go. So JW, we will hook you up with our sister. Anyway, so they found.
That could be it.
They've found a subspace fold. Finally talking about the episode now. And basically this means the horror has to do everything. So we get this cute scene where she's routing every single communication that's coming through and getting a bit heads up with it.
Did you feel like this almost like had a rhythm of its own? I can understand why they didn't put a beat behind it, because you want to save that for when it goes into the actual music. They almost felt like they introduced a rhythm to this.
A little bit, yeah. The music was definitely a little bit jauntier. Yeah. And we get a lot of the plot threads introduced. So I think, did Elliot predict this last week, or was it you, Squeak, who said that it'd be Pike and Battelle and the issues they were having would be something that would get touched on in a song?
Can't remember.
And so we touch base with that. We touch base with Chapel. We find out she's got on the program. We get a scene where Lan's getting all flustered because Kirk's coming over again. And so we're setting up all these little...
I think this is really nice, clever with when Kirk's coming over and Lan goes to meet him as coming on board, that Una knows that she's embarrassed and excited to see him. And she goes, I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And that's because of her speech. She's feeling.
You see, I didn't consider this, but the way she delivered that, it's like, I'm getting out hot. It was, that felt
no, she was feeling her because we saw that with our space magic powers were. In fact, every time I say space magic.
So, to be fair, though, you don't need to have space magic to work out that Lan's got the hots for Kirk.
No, I just thought the performance was a little large by Una. I thought it was a little large by Una, but that might
no, it's because her and Una are good mates as well. Don't forget. So she's ribbing her as a mate.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like ribbing. It just felt like really over the top. Like I'm getting hot. It's just
maybe she was already in the musical mood before we actually got there.
Because the other one, which you mentioned, I did want to pick up on was with the Pike, with the holiday argument set up here. Did that feel like a little forced or not? Like, I know they've shown that they're having difficulty in their relationship. He's having difficulty opening up. I don't think something you'd have difficulty opening up with is I don't like that place for a holiday. That seemed like a weird one to be closed off about.
Well,
like, if you're going to show something.
I was thinking it's maybe because they are having difficulties that he's just trying to go along.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
He's trying to be the good boyfriend here because they've had these problems and he knows that he's the one who fucked it up.
Yeah.
Like,
but he just really don't want to go to wherever this place is.
He don't want to do this all day, but she does, so he's going to go along with it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
it felt to me a little like it's like, right, you've got 2 lines to establish why he's arguing with her. I don't know, holiday plans. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's put that in.
I mean, would it have worked better if they'd have left it lying the last time they fell out?
That would
and not had that, and then we get the song about, like, you know, whatever it was they fell out about last time.
That's what I felt was missed. Thank you. You've kind of articulated better, but I was thinking that they felt like there should have been better stakes and linking it back to that a bit more.
Yeah.
As opposed to having this holiday. Again, it's just such a minor thing to... Why
if we'd have had a couple of episodes.
I think it's because there's like an ongoing thing between them. Like,
me
and James have been talking, and then we're going to do predictions for next week.
We'll do that. We can do it now if you want. Yeah, but
I think because since we're talking about it, and they seem to be working these things out, James is predicting that because we all know next episode is the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
And James, do you want to say what your prediction is?
My prediction: she is dead. She is dead next week. Dead.
You already predicted a death earlier in the series, didn't you?
I don't know, but I am super predicting it now.
I don't know if you said it for the end of the series, but you said
she will not make it out of next week's episode alive. I'll be surprised if she's alive by the time the opening credits roll next week.
Okay, it's quite. I think if you're going to kill her, if you do it at the end, ready for the emotional fallout at the beginning of the next series, you have a big.
No. I think I'll go one further. I think the Gorn are going to kill her, and the episode will probably even open with Pike finding out about it, and that'll set the stakes for the rest of the episode.
Okay. I'm seeing I think if she does get killed, it happens at the end of the episode.
She is going on a
she will get killed. She's going on a special mission, a category 1.
Which is, I think you're right. That's going to pull them into the next adventure, whatever it is. Definitely.
She's dead. Okay.
Okay.
But anyway.
I like her. I hope she isn't. And I like Pike having this happiness in his life before it becomes wheelchair bound with
dead.
Beep.
The other thing I want to also cover was like Chapel's thing about like, so she's got this new kind of like new program she's applied to.
Mm-hmm.
Am I misremembering? Or when she didn't get the Vulcan one, didn't she give this huge speech about I'm where I need to be? I'm on the Enterprise. It's great here. Oh yeah, I'll apply for another one though.
Yeah, she did. But the thing is, she's ready now. She's going to sing about that shortly.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the first round of Clanger or Banger. We have Status Report, which is an ensemble song.
We have
very mediocre.
Like the singing. Well, the singing starts with Spock, doesn't it?
He does do the first few lines, but collectively, this song is called Status Report. I know because I've looked at the official soundtrack.
Okay, right. I think it starts really well. Because I like how it starts. Because like Spock just starts singing about I'm gonna check this and I'm checking that and
it's the protocol song
when I'm able, and it's going through the things. And he's really, and you can see he's singing, but he's surprised, and you can see the look on his face. He looks surprised that he's singing.
Yes.
And then it spreads around, and I think it's going well until you get to Ortegas. Because everyone looks surprised when they're singing until it gets to Ortegas on the helm, and then suddenly like she's
she's
up for a bit of singing.
Well,
You
that
can
I
see she's loving
She
it.
is.
just down to your point, I feel like you've seen everyone else singing already. Like by that stage, she just I think there's a suggestion that kind of like you get caught up in the reality of it, but like when you first start singing, you seem surprised. And
No,
then
but
everyone
she's
just
the one
goes,
she's the first one that's really happy about it and smiling.
yeah, but I think because we
and
got
she's
that point in
singing
the
about,
song,
yeah, I fly at the helm and I.
Yeah.
you're saying that
She's-
seems inconsistent.
but yeah, because she's suddenly like a total switch from everyone else with it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is though,
But
up to
to
a
be
certain
fair,
point,
she's consistent with it.
up to a certain point, you've got two things. One is if you get everyone looking surprised every time they sing, when you got an ensemble piece, it just looks clunky if you got everyone looking surprised. And I think also the suggestion is it seems to be everyone at the beginning of the song they're surprised. If anyone jumps in midway, mid song, they don't get to be surprised. That seems
Yeah,
to
they're
be the
already
norm.
committed to it.
But I mean, for my opinion on the song generally is like it's not a bad song. It's a protocol song, but it's like it feels like they've just gone right. We need a big opening number, not what does this serve for the plot. That again,
Yeah,
one of
true.
those ones are the ones which lose me the most in this episode. Is because like not because they aren't good songs necessarily, just why are we doing that? What reason within plot are we doing it as opposed to we're opening a show at the beginning of a musical, you got an opening number. Again, going back to Buffy, everything they did, there was nothing wasted, no scene wasted on why.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas
Very
here,
true.
we'll sing a bit about protocol here and be a bit
So
jazzy.
are we going neither a clanger nor a banger?
Yeah, it's kind of very mid.
It's a
Oh,
mid-one
you're
song.
down with kids. Mid.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
I had to Google what that meant the other day.
Oh, it's only because I heard it on a podcast quite a few times, so it's
I thought mid did just mean that it was middle of.
Well, it
Oh,
does.
yeah,
there's
I
like
want
the-
it, I want it
there's
to
a
be
phrase-
sure because sometimes these kids say stuff and you think, I know what that means, and then it doesn't.
the first time I heard it was some people talking about like the latest films being mid Marvel. They're not that amazing. They're not absolutely,
No.
good, but it's a lot of mid Marvel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been seems to have popped into the pop culture.
No, I'm just giving you the plaudits.
yeah,
You
yeah,
are
I'm
down
just
with
gonna
the
say,
kids.
well, after last night, we can definitely say Meg 2 is top shark.
Oh, Meg 2 is definitely top shark, yeah.
I
And-
do.
And
If
you heard it here first when the phrase starts everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, Top Shark. That's gonna be Elliot's new catchphrase. I'll be Dragon. I'll be going Top Shark.
Top shark.
Top shark.
Chim's animal will be revealed as the podcast progresses.
Yeah. I'm waiting for mine.
Yeah, we'll have a menagerie.
Okay.
I will say I did enjoy it. It was sort of like quite nice that everyone then got caught up in the song, and then Pike read back to him and goes, "Yeah, but why are we fucking singing?" You know, it's like,
And
like
it's
everyone else
where
gets
is
lost
this
in it.
music coming from?
Yeah, which
Like,
I like that. Which, by
I
the
like
way, is a
that
really
part.
good question because
I
they
like
said
that
it's-
part because, like, you have Spock who's singing in engineering, but the music is permeating the entire ship.
Yes, yeah, and that's
at
my
this
point. Because the explanation they give is that they've switched into a reality or touch base with reality where singing is compulsory, but they haven't explained where music comes from. Like they do as a comment in here, but they don't explain
It's,
it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
To me, it's very Hitchhikers is this episode because it's improbable, everything.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
suppose
the thing,
it's-
yeah, if you're
We've
talking
got the
about
improbability. We're in the middle of an improbability field.
Yeah, I mean, it's like again, it's like I'm quite happy with we touched into a zone where you can meet up with every single reality. So like everything happens in every reality, everything, every possibility.
Yeah.
But again, like music suddenly appearing from nowhere, you have to at least give me a line to justify that.
Well, it
It's
was
just
space-
in the air in this reality where
it
you're in a
was space
musical.
magic.
Yeah.
There you go, space
Space
magic. Next song up.
Not that
then.
I've got new merc on or anything.
So,
Merkin.
actually,
You're wearing a
I-
Merkin.
I do have a point to raise before we get to the next song, which is there's a nice little moment between Kirk and Spock where Spock's explaining it, and Kirk says, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Spock. You explained that really well."
Yeah, there was a couple of
And
moments
it's just
where
a little hint of, he recognizes how good Spock is.
Yeah.
Though they do reference a zipper, which famously Gene Roddenberry said zippers did not exist in the Star Trek future, but never came up with anything suitable to explain what replaced them.
Well, we have Velcro, don't we?
Space Falcon.
Yeah. Or hook and loop joining strips.
Or could I say space magic again?
You could say space magic. Clothes could be held on by space magic.
Also, just a little shout out to the little touch they did in the credits with a little bit of harmonizing. Yeah.
Yes, they missed a trick there, though. They should have sung the lyrics that Gene Roddenberry wrote all them years ago.
They have to write new ones for Strange New Worlds. Correct?
Actually put them in.
You know why he wrote them lyrics, don't you?
So he get a payment from royalties.
Yeah, so
he got a payment from royalties every time they played the titles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very clever, man. So song number 2, then. How would that... No, sorry, I've jumped one. Connect to Your Truth, Una and Kirk. Is it a clanger or is it a banger?
I think it's a clanger.
Interesting.
I don't think it's helped because they didn't look like they could dance very well.
Oh, I thought the dancing were good.
There was...
And some of the lyrics sounded forced to get to Gilbert and Sullivan. I'll be singing
that
about
did.
Gilbert and Sullivan. Because we had the short trek, I'd have liked them to have gone, no, we're not going to write all new songs for the whole thing. We will throw in a bit of Gilbert and Sullivan and have number 1 sing it because Shane was singing Gilbert and Sullivan.
Or done it as a Gilbert and Sullivan style song, which it isn't. It sort of comes across as one of these sort of bantery two people songs. If we were trying to compare it to Buffy, it's trying to be the Xander and Anya song. But
I enjoy. I mean, to me, I did feel it was Gilbert and Sullivan-esque. I did get Gilbert and Sullivan vibes. Like, I used to watch it with my dad. I went to see a few of the plays.
But I did like the exchange.
But
I'm calling it a banger. But I did like the exchange between Una and Kirk. Leading up to this question.
Well, one thing I did want to say is, first of all, I love the fact that it started in Jeffrey's tube. Like,
yes.
And a lovely Jeffrey's tube. I know this might sound funny, but it's like, It was a really nice Jeffrey's tube. It looked like the original. It looked so expansive though. So it kind of looked like what was in the mind's eye when you saw the Jeffrey's tube, when you saw the original series. Beautifully done. I loved it. I don't know why. It just made me very, very pleased to see a Jeffrey's tube, especially seeing as in the musical episode, you want to bring those touchstones of Star Trek into it. So Jeffrey's tube seems like part of that. But I thought it was a fine song. The only thing I was wondering is like, I never got the impression that Kirk, we never got shown anything to suggest he was ever standoffish. Why does he have to learn that? Like, because in the future we know he's not, and we've not. And they've done nothing so far to establish that he's standoffish in this time.
True.
I don't think it's that. I think it's just Una is giving him advice on her experience.
No, but he said that he. I've never had any problem. I don't feel the need to connect with the crew. My former first officer didn't.
Yeah.
He does lay down that he is standoffish, which she then gives him advice on not being. But
to be fair,
again, you've got to establish that he is that first before you try and make him not that. They so often in the show just jump to think, like, again, they don't show Spock being logical before they show him being emotional, and it's just, you've got to lay down the track a little bit, and I feel like this is another one of those moments where they've not done that.
Yeah, but you're very wrong on Spock, but we've had this.
No, I'm completely
not having that argument.
No, you're right. Spock was always an emo douche. You're right. He's never been illogical. You're correct. Sorry. Yeah. What was I thinking? I thought Vulcans were logical. My mistake. It's like when this is the other one which we've got to skip past, but it's like when he's talking to Uhura, and she says about like, you've grown close to Chapel, which she was just the last week. She knows that. Like, we know she knows that. And then he goes, oh yeah, well, safe to say we've become more than just colleagues. Oh God, is that Vulcan romance? Like, what? That is the way you would say it. It's like, we've become more than colleagues. I think that's the way anyone might put it. That's not particularly.
I think like Starfleet officially isn't a military, but it is a military. And in military organizations, it can be frowned upon to fraternize with other officers, but it's also how you would say that we've become more than just colleagues.
Yeah, and I feel like also it's like they always act as if, like, even when he became human and they were giving him lessons on how to be more Vulcan, they did things he's never done when they were demonstrating what Vulcan acts like. And it's like here again, they're saying that he's being over Vulcan here, and he's not really. Like they're overreacting to something which isn't.
No, the reality, what's happening with Spock in this series is we have it established.
They don't know how to write Vulcans. You're right.
We have it. It's half human, and that's what you're forgetting.
No. He's wholly human here. Even when he's Vulcan, he's wholly human. He's not half Vulcan. That's the point. They never show his Vulcans like they never.
And they're showing how he gets to where we see him in TOS.
But the point is, they're not though.
And that's what you're missing. You're expecting him to be TOS.
No, I'm not missing anything.
That this is after the cage and before TOS.
No, I'm not forgetting any of that. I remembered every single part of that. But I'm saying you're forgetting every other bit of canon where they've shown, when he's talked about his childhood, talked about being bullied for being a human, when he's done everything to act a Vulcan. They've shown him in the animated series. They've shown him when he was a child being very logical in the movies, like every other instance. But every time, the only thing you go back to is that one giggle on the cage, and that supersedes every other bit of canon.
Yeah, it does.
Exactly.
Right. We're drawing a line under that. The next song is How Would That Feel by Lan. I think this is a proper banger. I think this is the first banger.
I thought it was called Flying Blind. I absolutely loved it. This is one of my favorites.
And I think it shows that Christina Chong has got musical theatre background because she's doing the acting as well as singing. Yeah.
Her and Uhura are their kind of main lean onto this.
Definitely.
And again, this one, I think, banger for a start.
Yeah.
It's justified everything, both in everything that's come before. Yeah, they only met once previously, but they've kind of given us enough reasons why she would be so invested in that one meeting. And there's a little bit of artistic license to love at first sight. So I think that's all justified. It works for the plot of this episode and the ongoing plot, which, again, to the Buffy point of it, this works so well. I wish they'd taken this note for the other songs and gone, right, how do we do what we did with that one and link it to the episode as well as the ongoing plot more?
Yeah, I agree. I think we all agreed on that one. Wow.
I think this is really good.
Yeah.
And I just love the flying blind bit. Just always catches me.
Only in 10 days we could tell Christina Chong how good this was.
Well, we could.
Security would stop that from happening.
And she wouldn't be able to comment on it. So that's going to be such an interesting experience with actors who are on strike at a convention. But anyway, we'll give you a full report the week after.
And it's sort of nice that they established it. I know it's kind of like, again, it's two things for one. But she's kind of saying about being a security threat. But it's kind of like partly she knows that it could be potentially because they could reveal something really important, but also partly because she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's it. She doesn't want
to. Because she's not lying, but there's also definitely a bit of self-interest.
Her own personal feelings.
Exactly. No, it's really good because, she's just like, it's a security threat. It's a security threat.
I've got to come meet Kirk onto the ship for security reasons.
Yeah. And that is why she cuts off the next song, which is Private Conversation.
Oh, no, before that, we've got to mention, they bring up that again, another one of these great Star Trek touchstones, the Heisenberg compensators.
Oh, again,
I sort of almost want them to do more of this, really, because they got in the Jeffries tube, they got in the Heisenberg compensators. I want them to bring in all these little Star Trek touchstones like they did here. And it's just great. And it makes perfect sense because the Heisenberg compensators are all about uncertainty principle and your atoms always being in flux and movement. And there's even been some suggestion that because there's particles which disappear and they think might be appearing in other, like it might be going through different dimensions. That's one scientific theory, so it kind of like links into current science, which Star Trek's always been great at doing. So because I was thinking it's like, well, would it make sense to use the Heisenberg compensators? But actually yes, it does, because it links in with this, which is, it's nice when I feel like they've thought that one through a lot.
It's one of those amazing it sounds like such a plausible piece of technology that makes everything work in the Star Trek universe.
Well, I've got to bring up my favorite Gene Roddenberry story when it was at conventions. I know I bring this up all the time, but he would famously be asked quite a lot, how do the Heisman compensators work? And he goes, very well, thank you. Next.
Yeah.
And that was his stock answer. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love naming the solution after the problem. Like, it means obviously we haven't figured out how to get around this, but if we name it after the problem, it shows we thought about it.
Well, that's why you have to compensate for the
Exactly.
Heisenberg theory. So, yeah, it is
I love
good.
that. I love that.
Next song, then. Where are
Conversation.
we? Private Conversation, Pike and Battelle. Very short song. We don't really get into it because Lan cuts it off, which ties into the ongoing thread there. I get the impression Anson Mount is not the most comfortable member of the cast singing.
Do you know the funny thing was, last week, and I used him as an example, not because I thought he can sing, but I was just like, to pick some randomly. It's like, oh, you might find, like they did with the Buffy episode and with the Grey's Anatomy episode, there's certain people you notice sing a lot less.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who don't have a musical background. He's got like this wonderful, he's kind of gravelly. You feel like he might be in a pub band somewhere, like from his voice, which is absolutely fine and very serviceable. But it's like, probably wouldn't carry one of the longest songs.
He can sing because in his profession he's been trained to sing with his voice, but he can't. He's not stage trained singing.
Yeah, I think again, it's more probably he could probably better out living on a prayer, but not like.
I think there's a difference between the two.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, it's. I mean, I thought it was a nice little fun one.
I thought it was fine. Yeah,
although if she's going to hit the button, she could have done that way earlier.
Yeah. Then that goes into, this is where we get the threat, or the entire fleet might be affected, and we do get a nice throwaway line where it's like, Admiral April says he wants it sorting out, and he said it in a surprisingly beautiful baritone.
Yeah,
which again, it's a good line, but going back to the Buffy one, there's a bit where Giles says, I overheard the police while they were taking down witness arias, and it's like, that's more or less the same, in the same ballpark of the joke, but a much wittier joke in Buffy. But there we go.
Pike does one later, which is very nice, and he goes like, if you're going to find a solution to this, you might have to find a different tempo. So like,
yeah, that's a good one. You're right.
But there was like one bit where like Una, and I'm not trying to pick on Una, but like, I think there's a few episodes here where it's like, the thing I love about the Buffy one is like, when they're singing, they go as fantastical as they want to be. But when they're doing the dialogue, it is actually quite natural. Whereas like Una, when she's going, it's like, well, when do people sing musicals? Like, people don't know, but anyway, okay, we'll ignore that. She goes, well, where their emotions are so heightened that words just won't suffice. Who fucking speaks like that? I'm sorry, you're in dialogue now. You have to go to dialogue. That's great for a song. That's not really...
Well, like you say, I think we'll go with space magic, and we'll go with, because of that empathetic thing she's got, she's absorbing the powers of the musical universe, and he's been more music-y than everyone else generally.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Though she does sing another song, which is Keeping Secrets. It were all right.
Yeah, no, this is probably the biggest miss for me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Elliot?
I like the dialogue that goes with with Lan. But I think
it's an overview of how everyone's feeling, kind of thing.
I think what's happened is, number one, Una has been given a few musical numbers in this. Because of the short trek where she did the Gilbert and Sullivan. Yeah. But she obviously loved singing the Gilbert and Sullivan stuff and had a ball doing it. But she doesn't look like she's enjoying this in the same way.
That's true.
And it's a different style. And we go back to what we were saying earlier, that if they'd let her, every time she had to sing, come up with new words, but do it in the style of Gilbert and Sullivan for her singing. And that would have worked so much better. Or
even like, it just feels like, again, they've done the thing of like, what's the structure of musicals? Oh, there's always the bit where you go to the ensemble and you see what everyone's thinking while someone sings. It feels like they've done more done this song by the numbers than a really great song or something which really takes the plot somewhere. It's just like, oh, this is what this it's a functional song, and
Yeah,
they stick out in this
it's-
episode. I think.
That's the issue with this episode. The Buffy musical one, the whole thing just flows and you can
Yeah.
sing along.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really hard to sing along to as an episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, our buddy Jack, like he was saying in one of the chat groups, it's like, oh, he knows the songs he'll skip to. And I feel a bit like that. It's like there's a few songs when they're on, I almost accidentally, without thinking about it, forwarded through a couple of songs, which like this one, like a very functional one, but I'm like, oh, no, I'm watching it. Talk about this later. I actually had to stop myself from accidentally
fast
forwarding.
forward.
Yeah. I feel like of the featured characters who do the majority of the singing, I would have rather Uhura or Lan had 2 songs rather than Una.
Well,
Uhura has loads.
She's in loads, but she only has 1 like solo.
Yeah,
Oh,
kind
I'd
of
say the
stuff.
last song she leads though, and then
She
the
does
first
lead
song
it,
she
yes.
leads.
but
it's
like Uhura can, like what we know of Trek, Uhura loves singing. So
Yeah, we
she
know.
should have been really prominent in.
And do you know what I really loved? Actually,
It's all
just
episode.
this is more a general note, but it's like where Nichelle Nichols was so she was very fiery and very kind of like very sure of herself. Like I love the fact this is a more cutesy performance. It's like it's more kind of geared towards the actor, but it's like it fits in with the character. You can imagine when she was younger, she was cutesy, and then when she gets older, she gets a bit more fiery, a bit more confident in herself. It just works as an arc so well. I think she is one of the ones who, when we've seen her arc flowing into like later Uhura, I think hers is the one that's just going to flow the most naturally. Like, I any of the other ones, they have taken certain liberties and certain kind of like sensibilities they've changed for the age in which we're doing it, I think, to a degree. Whereas Uhura I think it's going to just be so smooth.
So Uhura needs to observe the songs. And she decides, oh, right, well, I'll lead Spock to chapel and this will set his emotion off and we'll be able to...
Oh, do you think she did it on purpose? I didn't even realize.
No, I don't think she did it on purpose, but I think when the opportunity arises, she's like, oh, look, this will be a good chance to... Because she even says, don't she? She's like, heightened emotions like that.
You have missed one thing, which I just want to bring up now for the payoff later. It's when you've got the Klingon, which played by Hemner. Which
is it?
Oh, did you? I just
no, I didn't know that. That's cool.
At the beginning, and I realized it was Bruce something or other.
Yeah,
but yeah, played by Hemner. I did enjoy the kind of like line by Una, which I think was directly speaking to all of us. As we said, the fuck we don't, where she goes like, and I don't think anyone wants to hear the Klingons sing because you know, everyone's going to be there going, the fuck, we definitely do want to see that. That's everything we want to see. Is
exactly.
And you know, in that moment, if they don't pay that off, we're going to be screaming at our TV sets. But yeah, it's just like,
which they do, and the way they pay it off, I thought was fantastic. But anyway,
it was.
Just bring that up for later. Yeah, this Spock Chapel one. I mean. It starts with him coming in. I think she should have come in at the end of this number because this is a big positive song about her going on her new placement. But basically, she just goes up to Spock, says about one line to him about can we talk about this later? After not inviting him, does she not think that he might find out?
Yeah, I felt this was a bit harsh.
And she just sings about how happy she is, and she is up until this point. They have gone on about how much she's in love with him. We know through the original series, she pines after him. And then suddenly, when she's offered this opportunity, which I get that she wants to follow this opportunity. However, why would she like suddenly just not care about her relationship with Spock? Sorry, Elliot, go.
Right. I think this plays perfectly into a mock time, what we see, where we have a pining after him. Like, where Bones him goes, you keep trying and all that and nothing. And I think this is where that she hurts Spock with how she does this. And I don't think she means to hurt. I think the song makes it more hurtful because the song
I knew you were going to bring this up.
No,
okay.
let me finish.
No, I'll go back.
I'll let you finish.
No, I just knew you were going to bring that up. Go on.
Because I think this is like where Spock becomes a lot more logical after this event. We're going to see going forward. And we do see him sugar off later on in the episode is just not interested because he's allowed his human side to come out with her. And that's what we've been seeing because he's trying to sort of embrace his human side to sort of a bit following in his father's footsteps, getting with human wives. He's got a human mother he's sort of trying to impress as well. Is why we're seeing is what we've been seeing. So she does this song, and I think the song takes it further than she means with when she goes, I want to go for this, and I don't care if it hurts Spock, I go. That'll finish with him. And I don't think she meant to finish. You can quite comfortably leave a starship for 3 months and carry on a relationship. That's not an issue.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Anyway, but I think it's a song that's sort of driven.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew this was going to be your defense.
That's taken over with how she's come out so strong with how she's let him down. Because you see at the end of the episode that she wants to talk to him and he's just not interested. So I honestly think this is where it fits into a mock time, that this is where Spock goes, right, I embrace my emotion side for this, my human side I tried to for this woman. I try to embrace her, and I don't like this. I'm going to be Vulcan side, and this is where we see him become the full-on logical Spock that we used to from TOS. And later on in life, he learns, is what we see, where he learns the balance between the two.
Right. I mean, the argument that because the song overtakes her, there has been nothing else in this episode, anywhere else before or after this, where they suggest that what they're singing isn't exactly what they're feeling. They have proposed throughout all this episode that what they're singing is their legitimate. They've not had one line going, well, I sang that, but that's not what I really meant. I don't think that is evidence anywhere in this, but I felt what you would say would be they got carried away with the musical, but every other music has been what they genuinely feel.
We also had evidence in the last episode where she wouldn't confide in Spock, when he tried to be close and all that. And I think what we've got here is a case of she's been infatuated with Spock. She's loved the chase. Then when she's caught him and he's tried to be human, he's changed and she's not as interested. And
I mean, if they're trying to say
that,
I'm saying if they're trying to say that, I feel like they've not really tied that up enough. Like they've not really.
Well, I got it.
I get what. Yeah, but like they as writers have to do a little bit of work. I'm sorry, but just in my opinion, like, okay, maybe we should do all the carrying for them. Fair enough. But I feel like they haven't done enough to like I think the fact that even last week when she was being sort of a bit cool on him and like not letting him in, like you say, that really doesn't carry well. Like why she's suddenly done that? Why she's suddenly gone cold? Like I get what you're saying about like she's got with him and maybe
I think it's also it's that the chase is sometimes better than the catch.
Yeah, but what I was going to
he's altered himself when he.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Elliot, though, yeah, but then you have to sort of say that's what she's feeling. Like they haven't done anything to. All we've got is she's really into him, gets him, suddenly acts funny, and then what is later the thing regret? Is that why she's then trying to pull towards him? It's.
Yeah, I felt like this was.
It's their job to say that's what they're saying.
I can agree with you that they should have put more in. But I can also look at this and having watched lots and lots of Trek and sort of think and fill in the gaps that haven't been put in. But for a casual viewer, yes, you do need that.
Well, and also I feel like, I mean, even if I know the
and it is lazy from the writers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why
it is lazy writing.
Even though I know the characters, it's up to them to establish them in their show. It is up to them to establish the character in their show. Like, even though I know Spock before, you've got to show me the Spock you're showing. So if you're saying he's logical and then he goes emotional, you've got to show me a really logical Spock and then show him going towards his emotional side towards Nurse Chap. I don't feel like they've done the legwork on that.
Well, it was emotional.
No, but you've just said that the reason why she doesn't like him is because she starts acting more emotional.
Well,
she's going out with him. But I'm saying they already did that. If you're going to say that's what he's doing, you have to not have already done it. It's like they already had him going emotional. So he's gone a little bit more emotional, and that breaks the bank for her. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think it seems to come out of nowhere, Chapel's shift.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that they'd broken up from this originally, and then all of a sudden Spock's singing this song about how he's the X, and it's
Emo
like...
Spock, you mean? I'm the
Yes, Emo Spock.
I'm not going to go all logical because I got my heart broken for the rest of my
But
life.
I do agree with Elliot that I think this is Spock's turning point, or I think that's how they want him to present it.
Reason as well. I just think I don't want Spock's whole reason to be logical because he got dumped.
Look, I'm actually slightly agreeing with you that the writers have been lazy. I filled in the gaps.
Yeah.
But I filled in the gaps, and that's what I'm getting. And I'm agreeing with you that the writers have been lazy.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Don't argue with me for agreeing with you.
No, what I literally just said, I agreed with you that I think what they are doing is they're
right. Are we going to argue about
this is the turning point?
Elliot,
could I finish my fucking sentence? Right. So I think what they're going to do is, sorry, Elliot, I won't mute you. But shut the fuck up for one sentence, for fuck's sake. Right. What I was going to say is, though, I'm agreeing with you, though, that I think that is what they're saying is that this is going to be the whole reason from turning logical. But I don't want Spock's entire journey to be based on he got dumped and he got a bit moody, so emo Spock became emotionless. I think that is insulting to the characters for me. So I'm agreeing with you, and you're arguing with me. How about that?
Okay.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We've still not reached the end of Spock yet. I just feel like Chapel pivoted very quickly there, and I don't feel it speaks true to what we've seen. They've spent so long setting this up and bringing them together, and then it's like, oh, it's done.
I'll even
anyway.
say, I'll give you this one thing. This will probably drive you two nuts, but I actually thought this would have been a really good point to do a song about like his emotional versus Vulcan side. I thought actually,
I would have thought that.
You're in a musical, so that's a perfect time to explore that kind of thing. And you've just had a big emotional upset. Whereas instead of him going towards, again, like you saying about her doing Gilbert and Sullivan, which fits her, I think him singing a very logical way and like maybe trying to pull back the emotion, like it'll slip out and he pulls it back. Like that would have been so in keeping with his character. Whereas they did nothing. Like it's just I'm the X. It was so fucking sullen and
I think this should have interspersed these two songs. Like it should have been almost like a duet, but like what is there a word for that where you've got songs but they're singing in opposition to each other? Like you get that in musicals a lot, but
there's a word for it, and I can't.
But I feel like that's what this should have been. It should have been her singing this and him singing that at the same time, and the juxtaposition between it.
I thought what might have been nice is maybe her singing this at the end. Let's say I think it makes more sense, and she's less insulting if he comes in the end, sees her having this wonderful party here, and then you can also have a moment where she goes, "Look, I'm really like in the next episode. I'm really sorry. Doesn't mean I don't care, but I follow this opportunity." But like him coming in and seeing a sing like that,
I think what's going to be
and him realizing he hasn't been invited, and then he goes out, and then like a song later, you have a song in the middle, and then you have him like following those events, going around singing "I'm the X."
The final nail in the coffin is going to be the start of season 3. When she comes back engaged to Roger.
Yes.
After 3 months.
Oh yeah, that's definitely coming. But again,
I mean that's where we're going, isn't it? But we'll see. Next song then, Uhura. We Are One.
Can I just say that I do think that song is a banger.
Oh, the I'm the X or the I'm ready.
I'm ready. I think that's a banger.
I'm ready.
It's a nice tune. It just I mean, the tune wise, I really like it.
As a song,
fitting, not
talking about the story episode.
Yeah. On that level, I really like it, but it doesn't seem to fit the episode.
And the X didn't do a lot for me. I have to say.
That's a clanger.
Right.
Whiny emo shit.
Then Keep Us Connected, Uhura. Oh. Now I thought this was a banger.
It's
she can
this one
really sing.
So this one or Lance one earlier, which is my favorite.
Yeah,
probably this one.
I think so.
I will say I think she's been deliberately cast that she's had to do singing as well because Uhura in canon can sing, so she's had to have a musical audition with this.
Yeah, they've got to.
Even if they weren't thinking about because they wouldn't have thought about musical episode at the start of season 1. I don't believe they thought about that for 1 minute. But they will have thought about the character that she's going to be playing.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I agree.
So no, this one, it's got a bit of a let it go kind of vibe to it. This is definitely a big number. Yeah,
I drop moment.
Thought this one were great. Yeah.
To me,
that's only Dini who does that. Let it go in it.
True.
Well, it feels like it's the like the biography of her up to date and like her realizing the power of her role to connect people. Like, you know, again, it's just wonderful. It does so much for her ongoing story, but it also self-contains in the episode, which is what I wanted from some of the other songs. Yeah.
And then plot-wise, we need a big finale, so we get the big finale, which is We Are One, which is the big ensemble number. But let's talk about the Klingons, because there's that moment where Pike says, we need more music. Let's bring the Klingons on. And it's such a good bait and switch, because you're thinking the Klingons are going to come on. It's going to be this rousing opera and it's going to add to the thing. But instead, we get this K-pop thing.
K-pop, I'm the one that kill everyone.
It's just so ridiculous, but
we now know
brilliant.
That K-pop stands for Klingon pop.
We do?
I didn't even think of K-pop. I was thinking like it just reminded me of some of the voice modulating kind of dancey stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's total K-pop.
It's total K-pop. And we now know that K-pop stands for Klingon pop.
Can we just, before we go deep into this finale song, though, there is the bits between Lan and Kirk as well. They kind of...
Of course, yes, sorry.
But to me, like two things I want to sort of address with this. One is, given that Kirk at the end of the episode talks about being with Carol Marcus, this is the first time I actually saw him really kind of like every time it's like, oh, us working together. Oh, we're working together again.
I thought that was a bit naughty.
When he's with someone, given the other episodes, he hasn't flirted with her at all. The one episode where he can't follow through with it, he's suddenly uber flirty with her.
And it's literally seconds before he tells her he's practically kissing her. He leans in that close. And then he goes, oh, but by the way. Yeah, and it's like, that was naughty, Kirk. That was very naughty.
Did you notice the classic Kirk move as well on her? You know when they're being made particles in?
Yeah.
To engineering, so Spock and Uhura can blow them up to see
how
it will all happen. And the ship rocks. Immediately, Kirk grabs her to hold her to make sure she's okay.
He does.
And he did that all the time. In TOS, especially with Rand.
The funny thing is, it's like it's throughout his other appearances. I've been going, oh, when we can see the Kirk swagger? Why aren't we seeing the Kirk swagger? In the other episodes, it would have fit fine. In this one, it's weird. Like again, he's flirting when he's with someone else to just say no, I'm not interested.
I think he's been very naughty. I think my headcanon says that he's like, I know I'm not going to think, but I'm going to get as close as I possibly can before I tell her that it's not happening.
No, wasn't he doing that previously? Why wasn't he more like
I
this
don't
in the
know.
other episodes?
Yeah, I'm not.
My point. It's just
Facebook user makes a good point, and I agree with this completely.
I think Kirk was up for a fight, but when he realized she had feelings for him, he thought it was best not to. But he was flirting. It wasn't fight. He was flirting with her. Again, all those lines about, oh, we make a great pair. That was obviously flirting. Why weren't they in the other episodes when he was single? Like, whereas now he's...
Well, we don't know he was single in the other episodes.
Well, okay, maybe he wasn't, but it just seems weird to put it in now where
Carol's pregnant with his...
Well, and I always got it from the films. I thought he didn't know until he met David.
Well, it's always been a little bit ambiguous, but there are lines that...
In Wharf of Khan... He clearly states that you told me to stay away.
He does say that, yes.
Stay away from you. He doesn't say about the kid.
No, he knew he had the son, but she told him to stay away. And it's always been in canon that she told him to stay away because she didn't want him around a son being raised.
Yeah.
She wanted to raise him.
I feel like there's always been a little bit of wiggle room depending on how you interpret what they both say.
I'm not saying it's not interpretable that way, but I don't think she literally says like, "I want you to stay away from our son." Like, stay away could mean romantically. That's
Kirk does say, "I did what you asked. I stayed away," which leans more towards I did that because you asked me to stay away from David, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's partly just because I don't want to think Kirk's just been a deadbeat dad. I know he's asked to stay away, but still, like,
He has been a deadbeat dad.
all Star Trek dads,
never
apart
been-
from Cisco, are deadbeat dads. Kirk and Worf have their own little support
I don't know.
group.
I always
Yeah.
thought what allowed Kirk to be such playboy is because he didn't have those commitments. I don't know. Maybe it's just me excusing Kirk, but it's just whenever I
No.
watched it as a kid, I never.
No,
It's the way I interpreted it. Again, I think it is open. I think Jim's right. It's open. I wouldn't say
I don't think
it's
it
out
is
and out
open.
said.
Well,
how
now
long
it's
have I known
not
those years?
because we've come down very firmly in one direction
Right.
on it now.
All I want
It's
is
that.
what,
it's
there
now
was a song by
canon
One
that-
Direction. Did anyone else who's watching ever get the feeling that it wasn't like he didn't like? Am I the only one?
I've
thought
read
that
it
I'm
different
not-
ways, different times I've watched
you,
it,
that's
to be
fine.
honest.
I've always read it that Carol asked him to stay away from the sun. That
But you're saying there's no wiggle
room.
room. I would argue that there is by the fact that I didn't.
Not for Wrath of Khan, no.
Breath of Khan, there is wiggle room.
Anyway,
Okay, I'm going to watch it.
we get a really nice shot where the Enterprise is spinning round and the Klingon ships are behind it, and
I just love that they did like the final grand finale song. They had the ships dancing together.
Yes.
And you got like it must have been so much fun because they brought, as I say, brought Bruce back, who played Hemner, because they would have spent all that time together. The fact that he got to be included in this is really nice,
Yeah.
and I bet they really enjoyed. Kind of like I seem to remember hearing previously that he had a musical background as well. So
yeah,
I love it when they do honor to people like with when they killed off Admiral Forrest, they promised the actor in Enterprise that they'd bring him back for the next series, which obviously
Yeah,
never
true.
happened. But
But it's one of those things in it that with Star Trek, there's been so many actors. When they love an actor and they've got shows going on, they bring them back. And
They do.
This is something that's you might be one episode and think, yeah, you were great, fans love you. We've got another alien. Can you play him? Yeah. Oh, we've got this main character role coming up in our new series, and we think you'd be great for it.
Armin Shimmerman played all the Frankie,
Yeah.
basically. He was
Yes,
in pretty
he
much every
did.
Frankie episode until
Yeah.
he was Clark, you know. But
Yeah.
I just it was the same sort of like deal though. I get the feeling they've talked about using with Bruce, what's his name, that they were saying about with Admiral Force, because they did say to him, it's like if they get another series, the idea was they bring him back as different aliens, so it'd be always a little pathetic. I get the feeling they might do the same with Bruce. It's horror or something.
Horax, I think.
Horax.
I'm not
Horax.
100%.
There you go. Horax, I think it is.
Anyway,
Maybe pronounce
so
it Horax.
I do like Spock's final moments. He's sort of monitoring the thing, and it's almost like he's like, I've got to contribute to get it over the line. Like
And he did.
if it's me, the one who you wouldn't expect to be singing and dancing, and I go up and do this last little bit, that'll push it.
Well, we also have to give them a little. I mean, if we're going to, we have to give them a little artistic license for this one, because there was a pure bit where they just go to the corridors of the Enterprise and people are just dancing. It's like no one's dancing was part of this now.
Of course it is, because it's a
Of course
musical
it's a
reality.
musical.
Yeah, but within the logic of the show, I'm saying, okay, artistic license. As I
Look.
say, I'll let that one go.
I'm sorry, but we all love dancing.
Exactly. They dance
I didn't like
in all
dancing, I'm
other
just saying in
parts
the
of the
logic of the
episode
show.
as well. But it must be annoying if you get taken over by this musical thing and you're like, oh, I'm just one of the background dancers that gets a cutaway shot. Like, why don't I get the main role? You know, you'd be a bit annoyed.
Did we,
Like-
by the way, did we give this a clanger or banger?
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
the
it's a
finale.
banger.
Clanger
It's a
or banger? I'd go with banger. It's not
It's
as
a
much of a banger as
We
a
get-
horror
we
and
get
Land's solo
the
songs.
spectacular crew of the Enterprise.
It's a bit like, again, going back to the Buffy one. The Buffy one, I think Walk Through the Fire is the best song in it. And that comes just before the actual finale, which isn't quite as good as Walk Through the Fire was.
I mean, my feeling is like it's, and all right. So there's a lot of things they do in it which are really fun, but again, it feels more like, oh, there's a big ending, so we need to do a big ending, as opposed to this song talks about the episode. This song talks
Yeah,
about
you're
Star
right.
Trek. Like, I wanted to talk more about the episode and more about Star Trek. Again, where I said about Jeffrey's Tube and the Heisenberg commentators, to like, you know, maybe this song could have been the final frontier. You know, it could have been something which
Yeah,
talks about the mission of Star Trek. Whereas
the
they
s-
sort of, we all know our purpose. What's that really?
yeah,
you know?
the story of this song is let's do a big song, which
Yes.
doesn't give it a lot of dramatic weight.
That's what I miss about it. But I love the fact that again they include everyone, they get the ship stuff, everything you guys have brought up. I agree with.
Yeah,
There's
it's great.
you know,
It looks
it's not that I
great.
don't enjoy
And
it, but I want it to be more substantive to the plot. And I want
I
it to have a
agree.
bit
And I
more-
think that's a fair comment on the episode as a whole. I think it's bags and bags of fun when you're watching it. I think it's great. Anyone who can pull off a musical in a TV show gets major plaudits for that. But it doesn't have the emotional weight it could have had.
The only thing this episode does well at plot tie-ups is the line Kirk will lay water.
Mhm.
I mean that's great, and I think that was a big part of this episode.
And,
But,
and it tied that one up great. And hopefully that's now done and dusted.
Yeah, I
I've
hope
got-
so.
I think we're going to see some with Carol Marcus as my guest next.
Yes, I hope we
And
see
that's
Carol
gonna bring
Marcus.
Lana.
Well, actually,
I think that's where it's going.
no, I don't want to.
I didn't say I
Because-
wanted to. I think that's where it's going. I
Like-
don't particularly need
Like,
to.
I think the Paul Wesley playing Kirk, I think he's doing okay with it.
It's getting better.
But yeah, but this is a Strange New Worlds. I don't need Kirk coming into it
I
like-
agree.
No,
he's
that's
been-
true.
I agree.
over and over and over again. Like, I'd be quite happy after this training thing that we don't see him again until the last episode when Pike is handing over to Kirk.
Or even one guest episode a series would be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to me, like it's
It's
like
been
there's
in
a-
3 episodes this season.
well, there's the line which he's got in this song, which really is nothing about the episode, is nothing about his current timeline. It's all about the fact we know he's Captain Kirk. It goes like, and if like credit where credit's due, if I make Captain, it's up down to each and every one of you. He's only met half of them just now.
Yeah.
And what the fuck? Why is he singing about being a captain? That's nothing to do with anything. He's not on the
No.
path to captain. He's just starting on this path to command.
Well,
It's a jump just because we know he's Captain Kirk in the future.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why
yeah,
that line's
it
there.
is.
It seems so forced and against what the episode, you know. And again, it's just
Yeah.
one line, but
it,
fuck's it there?
it's like I'd have been really happy not to have had Kirk until the final ever episode of Strange New Worlds.
that would have been fine.
Where
Doing the last
Pike-
series.
where Pike-
I would have been
over.
happy with that.
And I don't want him as a recurring character
all the time.
all the time.
Have you
Because
seen that?
It's not the Captain Kirk show.
Have you seen that meme that's like doing the rounds where somebody's mocked up a TOS novel and it's called "Why Are You on My Ship All the Time?" and it's Pike and Kirk on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's a fair point at this stage, but yeah, I agree. If
Oh,
this
and he
is
was
the
in
end of
that-
Kirk's arc, I'm happy with that.
I mean, to be honest with you, like there was no real reason for him to be. He was around the table when they were having their briefing for the ship. He's not.
I think that's because he's kind of on a work placement,
Yeah,
isn't he?
I'll give him
Learning
that
how
one,
to be
but
a
even that-
commander.
It's on a work placement before he becomes first officer.
So it's
I'll
like,
give
yeah,
him that
you
one.
sitting on the big meetings.
And that's why Una was giving him the advice on being a first officer, that get to know your crew properly.
And it does kind
little
of
things
with
make a
him
difference.
singing, you know, if I become a captain, because that's clearly the direction he's heading in. If he's
Oh, yeah, but I'd say that's a thought though. But again, it's singing.
yes, it's a bit too
cute.
cutesy.
He's a lieutenant. Why is he talking about making captain at this stage? Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a bit too cutesy, but
And
anyway,
cocky for fuck's sake. But yeah, I mean,
but that's
can we-
Kirk.
Well, that's true. Okay, I'll give you that one. But I've walked into my own trap there. But and Benga, can we just bring him up very quickly?
Yes.
Just 'cause he's got so many lovely lines throughout the episode. They're peppered out. But he goes like, and I was singing, I do not
don't
sing.
sing.
And he goes
Yeah.
like, oh, when we turn into bunnies, I also do not want to be turned into a
Yeah.
bunny. But then there's bits where it's like, and I'm so glad they give him every opportunity because he's got such great range, this actor. But it's like, yeah, one scene he's being really serious. The next minute in the musical, he does a big spin around and he's like all smiles, and he can do that as well. He is like, and really solidified this in my brain this episode. He reminds me of those kind of like older relatives in your family who you meet, and they're all avuncular and they're all nice with you and they're all playful, and you see them as this playful, wonderful kind of like a dad or granddad figure, like he is kind of in the first series with his daughter. And then there'll be just one moment where they're talking to the adults, and they'll kind of reveal that can be quite a lot darker, or they've had a dark history, or that they were in the war or something. You know, you'll hear one of those details. He reminds me a lot of that. Like when he kind of goes through dark moments, it's sort of like when you see that kind of elderly relative you really love, you realize they've seen some shit. And I feel like this series has been that for him. Like we're seeing this guy we've just really mostly known as a kind of lovable character.
First season, he was this really lovable dad.
Yeah. And now you see like, Dad's been through shit.
Yeah.
I overheard Dad talking to my uncle.
It's not just the dad.
Yeah. And I think that's really great. That just really pull that to mind this episode.
I think he's been the MVP of this season, really. But anyway, we'll talk about MVPs more when we get to the finale next week, in which Captain Battelle will die.
Yeah, we need to talk to all three of you. We may be at a different time that we do.
Yeah, we'll have, with us going to the convention, we might do a bit of rescheduling next week, but we'll put that on the Facebook group.
I have a little bit more retrek news.
Oh, go on then.
Should we finish the episode first? Just because we haven't
finished the episode. Yeah, let's finish the episode first.
Well, then we're going to that. I just thought I thought the fact they played the TOS theme felt very fit. It really fit.
Yes.
But it kind of also, it was kind of meta because that big hug at the end was like at the end of a show where they hug each other on the stage. It's sort of like, but they got away with that one. That didn't seem forced. It didn't seem inappropriate to the episode. It seemed it works. Like you're in space normally-ish at this point. Like most of it's worn off. Maybe the little dying embers, like in the Buffy when they break out of it.
There was loads of little embers you saw as it blew up. That were coming towards them, so they're getting a little bit. Just getting little bits of I'm a star.
Yeah, it's great. That kind of fit very nicely. I just thought it was nice, and little button with her at the end was just
something that I did find odd. If you notice, and I'm sure this is a mistake with the graphics department, but if you notice, we've got the dance routine that's going on with the Enterprise in front, with the three Katingas behind, or the D7s at this point. D7s actually at this point. But we've got the three D7s in the dance routine. And then we have the explosion as we reach crescendo.
Yeah.
And the three Katingas vanish.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I'll watch it again.
They just vanish, and it's like, shit.
Maybe the cloaks.
Cloaks. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, like, shit. Did you just blow up 3 Klingon war cruisers there?
That'd cause problems.
Oh, and of course, Emo Spock goes over to drink some blood wine and get all the emo about his breakup.
Well, obviously, you can't have blown up. This is why I think it's an issue with the actual graphic CGI department, that they've made a mistake in the...
Well, I just assumed, I mean, I didn't notice it, I must admit, but now you're saying it's like, I think we could assume that they just, after they'd flown in formation, they just want to get the fuck away from the stuff. I think the second they stopped having to go in formation, they flew a safe distance away from the...
Cloak now.
Yeah, cloaked. Yeah, cloak and move a bit away from these fuckers. And then we're going to have words with them.
So, anything else on the episode then before Elliot gives us the retrek news? No?
I just thought the hugging I mentioned earlier, that Spock shuns Chapel going over to him. We get where Uhura's talking to all the fleet and she's just humming away to herself. And we used to get that in TOS where she'd be humming.
True.
Well, again, it's just a nice little bun on the episode.
Which I thought was a little character part.
Yeah. Okay, then. So go on, Elliot. I'm not sure what this news is.
No. Well, it's something to watch out for on our socials.
Oh.
On the 21st of August, we will have links up to buy Retrek Merc.
Ooh.
Merchandise.
Oh, merch.
Merch.
No, it's just you said Merkin earlier. I thought we were selling something
No, I
completely
said
different.
Merc.
Yeah, you said Merc, and then you said Merc. It like in the sentence.
No,
you
you're
said
hearing
Merc.
it different than what I'm saying it.
No, you're saying Merc. The word is merch. And
No,
earlier you
you're
said
hearing
Merc,
it different
and then you
than
said
I'm
the word
saying
enough.
it.
No, but you're saying the word Merc. You're literally saying the word Merc.
Yeah, but I live in Yorkshire and Leeds.
Yeah, but how is that me hearing it differently to how you're saying it? I'm hearing it how you're saying it, and you're now using an excuse for why you're saying it.
Okay, I'm drawing this one to an end.
Right,
So we're selling Elliot's Merkins online, is what we're establishing.
It sounds like it.
We will have Retrek merchandise links to buy them on the site on the 21st of August.
So there we go.
I'm gonna have Retrek shaved into the pubes.
And we will see you at Destination Trek.
I thought that was quite exciting.
It is exciting.
It is.
And yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, we're at RetrekPod on X or whatever it's called this week. RetrekPod@gmail.com. Elliot's got his Retrek Model Studios on YouTube.
I will have a video out this weekend.
Excellent.
It's all lighting finally.
And I don't know who it is, but Facebook user has said it's cool. Someone is looking forward to those Merkins, which we're going to be selling.
There we go then. And Dr. Squee, what have we got on the Dr. Squee show?
You first, Kingy. You got anything on your toy box?
Kingy's toy box. Yes, we've got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles turtle van from the new movie.
I've not
so
a He-Man castle or something.
I did the He-Man castle. I've done the first bit.
I will watch
I need to do, now that the model's completed, I need to do a review of it, but I did the unboxing. So, yeah, that's all on there. And Dr. Squee, what have we got on the Dr. Squee show?
Well, this week on the Dr. Squee show, Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m, SW20 radio.co.uk or drsquee.com. Yeah, I had an interview this week, which was meant to go live on video and audio onto the radio yesterday for the radio show. Unfortunately, I'm going to blame the fact that it takes forever to put my cast back on if I take it off if I'm sat down. So it took longer than I expected to get upstairs. So I didn't remember to do what I usually do, which is check that the audio is actually going through to the radio. So when I went to broadcast, not only was an echo of me, but you couldn't hear my guest. So next week on the radio, and the video version is up now on drsquee.com. You can join me talking to Laura Duff, who is a coach for Manchester United's City Reds, which is a community outreach program which helps disadvantaged people and also disadvantaged young people. She also works for as an equality ambassador for women and girls soccer or football. So some really great stuff. And I thought very timely with the female World Cup going on as we speak. So yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend it.
And we will see you for the finale then. So thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
LLAP and drag off.
Fascinating.
Hey, I don't want to raise it too high, but I can do the Vulcan salute again.
No.
Hey!
Both hands.